All right, Shalom, Shalom. I'm Y'all coming at you with another lesson straight out of the Lion's Den Camp of Yashala. But before I get started with this lesson, I would like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son in their proper two names. And we're going to start off by saying Kal, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ha, Rakah, Kodash, Ma'amath. Definitely want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS and their elders. Definitely want to give double honors to my elder, Ahar Wam, Ban Yashala of the Lion's Den Camp, located right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Shalom to the sincere men, women, and children that believe in sincerity and the truth and that believe on the names of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. All right, Shalom to the Lion's Den Camp and to the rest of the elect that's out there. Shalom. All right, today's lesson is going to be going over Moab, right, which is the biblical name for the Chinese nation, all right, Chinese people. All right, we're going to be going into a little bit of prophecy, as well as giving information about some of their technology. All right, dealing with their ICBMs. All right, this is technically not a new ICBM. They kind of showcased it in 2019. All right, but even though it's 2025 right now, but they're finally releasing the information, about this ICBM. All right, so let's get into it. All right, the article here says it's from the Mirror US. All right, it says China releases footage of feared supersonic missile that can hit targets 1,200 miles away. All right, it says recently unveiled footage has given U.S. officials a glimpse into the power of China's mysterious Df-100 supersonic cruise missile. The rare video showcases the weapon, which is designed to target enemy ships and military installations worldwide with a range of about 1,200 miles and pinpoint accuracy. The brief, grainy 2-minute clip in one of the few times the public has seen the Df-100 since its introduction in 2019, as previous sightings were often obscured, leaving its technical details and operational methods largely unknown. Initially, the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force released a mere 2-second clip of the missile in action back in 2019, but it was quickly removed from circulation. All right, it's just basically, that's just how Moab get down. Moab is very discreet a lot of times with their technology. They discreet with a lot of stuff. All right, but definitely with their technology, and it's just all this is coming from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, raising up China ever since World War II, right? With the war between them and Japan, right? He's been raising them up with their economy, their finances, their resources, especially their technology, right, and their military, right? They have been lifted up, right, and it's all because the Lord is going to use them in the great day of judgment, right, in that great day of His return. All right, of course, you read Ezekiel 38, right, and 39. We know that the Lord is going to use Russia, even though He's against Russia, but He's raising Russia up and the rest of the BRICS nations, right, to bring forth, His prophecy, man, to go against America and parts of NATO, all right, and the EU. All right, but scriptures also say that a lot of NATO is going to turn their backs on America in that time. All right, and America is spiritually known as Nineveh, Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? But it's also known as Babylon, right? The daughter of Babylon as well. All right, so we have to have that understanding, dealing with prophecy, that the Lord is going to use China, right? He's raising China up, but He's also against China. Even though He's using China, He's also against China, right? He's only, dealing with the 1/3 of Israel, right, and the 144,000. All right, the rest, got a sore judgment coming their way, man. All right. It says, matter of fact, let me grab something real quick. This is Psalms 108 and 9, and it reads, Moab is my washpot, all right? Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. And remember, the Lord doesn't change, man. The Lord has always used Moab as a washpot, and we're going to get the etymology of that word as well in a second. right? And over Edom will I cast out my shoe, right? So the Lord is gonna, cast the shoe out over Edom, right? Which means, spank that butt, over Philistia or the Philistines, right? Uh, Palestine. I'm sorry. All right, will I triumph? All right, let's go into this a little bit. All right. Now let's go for Philistia. It's the Hebrew word.
Strong's H 6429. Pelesheth. Pelesheth.
Pelesheth. All right. Philistia, land of sojourns. Right. The general, and I'm on outline of biblical usage. Right. The general territory on the west coast of Canaan, or the entire country of Palestine. All right. And we know what's going on over there in Palestine, dealing with Gaza and Israel. All right. All right. Let's go back. And now let's go to washpot, because that's the point of the video. All right, for one. All right, here's the Hebrew word.
Strong's H 5518. Seer. Seer.
All right, seer. All right, outline of biblical uses. Pot. All right. It says thorn, hook, briar, thorns, hook. But the Strong's definition, all right, this is what a point lies. All right, it says from a primitive root meaning to boil up. All right, a pot. Also a thorn as spring up rapidly. All right, and that's the point. All right, the Lord has always allowed Moab to spring up rapidly, right? And today, it will be their technology, right? And one example is what happened during the Super Bowl, right? Dealing with their drones alone, man. That was something that, that was that was crazy to see, for them to be able to use all them drones to, show the pictures in the sky using drones, man. But the Lord is using them, raising them up rapidly, springing them up rapidly in their technology, right? And parts of that is for Him to be able to use them to come against Edom in that day, right? Which would be more so on the side of Amalek, all right? Teaming to be part of Russia, which are both family members of Esau, right? Amalek and Teman, all right? But they'll be coming against Amalek mostly, all right? Dealing with America and the state of Israel, all right? But again, the Lord said, Edom will I cast out my shoe, all right? Man, I just, the first thought came to my mind just a few seconds ago, man. It was just, when I got in trouble before, how you try to run from your parents, you done got in trouble from your mom and dad. my mama had perfect aim with that shoe, bro. I don't know why that popped in my mind, but, if you try to run, man, that thing was like a boomerang, man. That thing bend corners and everything. She used to, I don't know, I used to bend the corner and still got hit by that thing, man. But anyway, all right, back to it. All right, so like it. God dang it. All right, it says, back to the article, it says, right, it says state-run media aired the long recent footage during the final episode of a PLA documentary series highlighting the rare public release of Df-100 cruise missile launch video and confirming the missile's development. The documentary celebrated the PLA's 98th anniversary and previewed an upcoming grand military parade on September 3rd, commemorating the 80th anniversary of China's victory over Japan in World War II, right? And the defeat of 20th century fascism, reports the Express. All right, again, this is, the Lord is raising them up rapidly, man, dealing with China, but the Lord is still against China, he's still against Moab. He's all about the Israelites, man, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the speckled bird, all right, who bear the same spirit as such, but may look like the other nations, but stem through the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. All right, but again, the Lord is raising China up, man, for what? All right, to bring forth judgment, man, to be a part of that judgment day, to go against the great whore, and which is America, as well as the state of Israel. All right, now let's go. Move that. Go to Jeremiah 50 and 25, and it reads, Yahweh hath opened his armory, right? And who he opened his armory to, right? You look at people like, you know, look at the major countries, that have all the, nuclear weaponry. I'm saying it like that. All right. Yahweh have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, man. See, those ICBMs go into the weapons of his indignation, man. And the Lord opened up his armory and gave the wisdom, that type of wisdom, unto places like America, Turkey, Russia, China, all to bring forth the prophecy of World War III, right? Dealing with nuclear destruction. All right, it says, "For this is the work of the Lord God of hosts," right? Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, the Lord of armies, right? Yahweh being the Heavenly Father and the Lord of armies, all right? In the land of the Chaldeans, all right? But again, that's just the Lord, right? Getting these countries ready for the day of judgment, man. To kick off World War III, right? Gathering everybody down to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? To judge them, right? All right, let's go back to the article. All right, it says, within the program, viewers witnessed a rocket force brigade simulating a response to comprehensive jamming by adversaries, swiftly setting up a wired communication link to facilitate the missile's launch. See, Moab be thinking, man. Them boys strategic, man. Brigade Deputy Commander Lieutenant Colonel Zhang Gadong, I probably chop that up a little bit, all right, has revealed the intense readiness condition of his unit. See, they ready, right? Nothing that, quote, we are on standby for long periods, Slaki, noting that, quote, we are on standby for long periods, end quote, and that, quote, sometimes we can't get a solid night's sleep for days. Our targets are mobile, and so are our positions, end quote. The Df-100, I believe it's also known as the CJ-100 as well, right? The Df-100 missile system presents a formidable challenge to key U.S. and allied military installations across the Indo-Pacific. All right, see, that's a major point right there, man. Because China wants Taiwan back. America's been standing in the way this whole time, right? Same thing with Russia and Ukraine. Same thing with North Korea, South Korea, right? So these countries are sick and tired of America, man. They're sick and tired of the dollar. They're sick and tired of them being the hammer of the earth and being the top leader of the GDP, right? They're sick of them pushing their idolatry and their that's the word I can use. Sodomy. All right. Some words you gotta be careful of using dealing with YouTube, and they'll drop you like a bad habit, bro. But so they're sick of this place, man. As well as we, as well as us, man. We're sick of this place as well. All right, but it says the Df-100 missile system presents a formidable challenge to key U.S. and allied military installations, right, across the Indo-Pacific, with strategic locations in Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and American bases in Okinawa and Guam, all within its potential reach, as well as any naval vessel in nearby waters. All right, keep that in mind as well. All right, dealing with the Navy vessels. But again, China is saying that they can reach these hot spots, man. Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, American basins in Okinawa and Guam. All right, and dealing with any type of Navy vessel as well in nearby waters. All right. It says Taiwan's Deputy Foreign Minister Wu Chi Chong raised concerns earlier this month about what he perceives perceives as China's looming threat of an invasion of Taiwan. Man. All right. The alarming statement followed a defense review revealing that 30% of Taiwan's military reserve equipment was either missing or non-operational, underscoring vulnerabilities at a time when China regards Taiwan as a breakaway province it intends to reclaim. See, and and America is sitting back looking crazy. Like dealing with Taiwan, they pretty much got to do everything for Taiwan. Man. But again, the Lord is, getting His prophecies. He's bringing forth His prophecies, man. Manifesting them. So He's getting everything. He's getting all His chess pieces put in the right places. All right. And America, is being, brought low. Right. This is Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Right. Why they call him virgin daughter of Babylon? Right. Dealing with America, man, they feel like they can't be touched. They have that mindset of I have never been touched, I have never been defiled. That no army has come against them and conquered America. That's their mindset. Oh virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. Right, there is no throne, man. In other words, man, you finna be moved out of your position. America as a whole, which will become the lake of fire. Man. All right, it says, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. See, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Right, the Lord is not gonna allow you to keep boasting. Right, He's gonna make you fall like lightning, man. He's not gonna allow you to keep, you know, persecuting us, His people, His children, His chosen ones. Right, spilling the innocent blood right here on these lands. He's not gonna allow you to keep, uh, you know, pushing your wickedness across the world, man. Right, this is why the Lord is exposing them for their wickedness. Right, take the millstone, verse 2, and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, and that's what the Lord is doing. Right, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Right, so the America's being exposed for all its lies right now. Right, this is all happening right now. It's being exposed for the great revealing. Right, being exposed for all this lies, being exposed for all the wickedness that is pushing across the world. Right, they're being exposed for all their what's the word I can use? All their unaliving, right? Them conquering, going around conquering other nations, stealing their resources, right, and trying to sell it back to them when it belongs to them in the first place. Right, it's just all kind of wickedness, man. Them polluting the air, the waters, right, polluting the minds of our people, right, putting their hands on our people, dealing with the military, right. The first one of the precepts come to your mind, right, the three unclean spirits that leaped out of the mouth like a frog, man, right, dealing with their money, right, the dollar bill that they pushed on to all these other nations, right, dealing with their military, going around conquering everything, right, and with the police and how they treat the people that live here, right, the chosen, right, dealing with the religion, man. Pushing that pushing idolatry, man. Putting their hands on the scriptures and pushing forth the false name and false narrative and false doctrines, man. Right, having our people worship, especially the Northern Kingdom, man. Dealing with the Latinos, man. Dealing with the Catholic Church. You know, um, leading our people, the Christians, right, the Catholic Church, leading them all to worship under a name that is false, man. Which all goes back to praising Zeus, man. You know, Jesus, right? Hail Zeus. It says, that's why the Lord is exposing this place, man. He's gonna use places like Russia and China, right, the BRICS nations to take this place out, man. To remove this place, right, to make this place sit on the ground. There's no more throne for you, Babylon, right? Talking about America today. Verse 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man, right? Because the Lord ain't going back on that cross, man, right? He's already been glorified. He's already in his glorified body, man. He's patiently waiting, sitting on the right hand of the Father, patiently waiting to come back and redeem his people, man. Right? Because nobody else can redeem us, man. You know, we have to wait on Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right, to come redeem us. You know, that's why the Lord said when he come, can't no man save us or redeem us. Right? No man can redeem us out of this condition that we in, this last captivity that we in right now. All right. Matter of fact, you know, verse 4, and I go to the next precept. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. All right. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 6. All right, because these are part of the curses that are on us right now. But remember the prophecy, right? Remember the story, Jacob and Esau. Jacob held first, held the heel of Esau, So that's how quick the transition is going to be from one kingdom to the next, right? Because Esau is the head, but he will become the tail. And we're the tail right now, but we will become the head. And when that happens, there's no gap in between. Esau wasn't born, and then Jacob was born 5 minutes later, right? Jacob was holding on to his heel. So as soon as Esau's time is up, right, Jacob time will start, right? There's no gap in between. That's how quick this stuff is going to happen, man. That's how quick these curses, right, from verse 15 in Deuteronomy 28 all the way down. I believe it starts at 15 or 16, right? And all those curses all the way down to verse 6 to 8 is going to fall upon them. All right, but the point is that Yahweh Shah is the only way we can be redeemed out of this. Deuteronomy 28, 6 to 8. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt, right? Egypt goes back into captivity, right? Again with ships, and that happened during the Atlantic slave trade, right? When the Lord put iron yokes around our necks, right, and brought us over here to the Americas on ships, man. To meet back to complete another one of his prophecies to bring the two kingdoms back together, because the 10 tribes was already over here, right? And Benjamin, Judah, Benjamin, and parts of Levi, right, went into slavery to meet up with the rest of the 10 tribes that's over here, right? That was part of the prophecy, man, right? And it was prophesied in Deuteronomy 28 that this stuff was going to happen to us, to Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, dealing with verse 6 to 8, right? The 10 tribes also came over on ships as well. All right, but that was during the Syrian captivity. All right, you can read about that in the Apocrypha. All right, what it says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt captivity again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Right, we shall see what no more again? Captivity, man. We're not going, once the Lord come get us, man, we're not going back in captivity. Right, that all that stuff will fall onto Esau's head, man. And the rest of the heathen, right? But Esau being that head heathen, okay. All right. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So when you go in that word buy you, right? Let's get the etymology, the root of that word. Come on, phone. Scroll. All right. Shall buy. All right, it's the Hebrew word.
Strong's H 7069. Kana.
All right, let's go down to the Strong's definition. I'm gonna just jump right to it. Let me grab my little cursor. All right, redeem. All right, that's what we're looking for right there. Redeem. All right, so it says primitive root to erect, i.e., create, by extension to procure, especially by purchase, right? It says by implication to own, attain, right? To attain, right? Buy, teach, to keep cattle, get, provoke to jealousy, possess, purchase, recover. See, recover, redeem. All right, so the Lord is the only way. All right, because it says that no man shall basically redeem you. No man can redeem us, right? The Lord has already went up on that cross. So when he comes to redeem us this time, right, he's not going to show up as a man, just like he was threatening them heathens in the previous verse, right? In Isaiah 47, right? In verse 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be, talking about Babylon, shall be seen. I will take vengeance to who? Babylon, and I will not meet thee as a man, right? He's not going, when he comes back to come gather us out of our captivity, he's not going to show up as a man, right? He's going to show up in his glorified state to destroy Babylon and to redeem us, all right? Luke 17. Yeah, Luke 17:26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise also, right? So likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day, he which shall be upon the Salaki. That was the point right there, right? Even thus, verse 30. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed, right? So again, in that day, it's going to be just like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be just like the time of Noah. Everybody paying attention to living in a worldly life, right? Instead of living in the spirit, right? They worried about everything but the prophecies, right? Not being a watchman, right? Not listening to the prophets, right? Listening to the warning that's going out, right? Ignoring the prophecies, right? So but the ones that's diligently doing the work patiently, and studying to show thyself approved, to rightly divide the words of truth, going out on the highways and byways to push this truth, right? Warning the people, leading many back to the marriage, man, to the feast, right? The ones that are doing the work, for the Lord Yahweh, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Those are the ones that the Lord is going to come back to redeem, man. So while everybody else is, parlaying and getting married, drinking and having fun, right? The Lord sees the ones that's out here, doing His will, and doing the work, So in that day, man, it's gonna be bad, man. It's gonna be just like the days of Noah. It's just gonna be just like the days of Egypt. It's gonna be just like the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, And speaking of the flood, Russia, they have a ICBM called the Poseidon missile, right? Now this Poseidon missile, all right. I'm not gonna say I don't know for sure, but they just had an incident over there where they make these particular Poseidon missiles, right? I believe personally, I can't prove this, but I believe personally that they intentionally set one of those ICBMs called the Poseidon off in that area because some kind of way they had a huge earthquake right where they manufacture those Poseidon missiles for Russia, right? And those tidal waves ended up all the way over to California, all the way to Hawaii, right? So I personally believe that was a test. I can't prove it. We just know it was an earthquake in the same area where they create the Poseidon missiles, right? And we end up having tidal waves all the way over here to California. All right, but that's another lesson for another day. Again, I cannot prove that he set that ICBM off intentionally. All I can tell you is that the report was that it was some type of earthquake, and just so happened to be with the same facility where they manufacture the Poseidon missile, right? And we just so happened to have tidal waves to reach way over here to America, right? But again, with the Earth rocking to and fro during the time of this World War III, and it's going to come from all those 200 million warheads hitting America, right, all at one time. Scripture says it's going to look like a shaking fig tree and figs falling from the sky. That's how many ICBMs going to be in the sky at that time. So that's what's going to cause the earth to rock to and fro. And then you go into the Apocrypha, read Second Esdras, it goes into how the waters are going to be rough and even the sea creatures are going to be, in a panic, basically. So it's going to be I ain't gonna say a lot of. It's not gonna be a major flood like the time of Noah, but it's gonna be some major tidal waves. Say it like that, because of the ICBMs hitting the Earth at one time, as well as possibly some of those Poseidon missiles getting shot off as well. All right, so that's the water part, the little bit of the flood, right? Dealing with the Lord passing over the whole world, right? He's going to pass over, right? Just like he did during the time of Egypt, right? As well as dealing with the, um, gathering us, gathering the elect this time. It's not going to be all of Israel, but it will be the elect, the 144 and the 1/3, right? Will be gathered out of that destruction. You'll only have to see it with their eyes only, right? The rest of Israel have to take part with the heathen. All right. And then dealing with Sodom and Gomorrah, that dealing with the fire and brimstone. That's what's going to happen during World War III. So all of those events in ancient times was precursors of what's going to come in the last days. So we have to have that mindset not to be like these ones. We have to have that mindset, Slakia, not to be like the ones that that was doing it. Had the mindset during the times of Noah, or had the mindset of the ones that lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. You had the mindset of Noah, or have the mindset of Lot, right, or have the mindset of Moses, right, which ultimately, right, your mindset should be as like Yahweh Shai's, right, because he's the ultimate truth, right. But as long as you are walking that straight and narrow path, right, you can be redeemed from all this, man. All right. So let's go to Jude 1. All right. And 7. I might as well go and grab it. It says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example. Suffering, see, it was set forth as an example. It was a precursor, right? Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. All right. Let's go to Zephaniah 2. Ooh, let's jump up to 1. All right, it says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nations not desired. Not desire. It says, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, right? Before the fierce anger of the Lord Yahweh come upon you, before the day of the Lord Yahweh anger come upon you. Seek ye Yahweh, all right? All ye meek of the earth. That goes into the 144 and the 1/3, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. See, that's that mindset, right? It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger, right? Being redeemed, man, being taken up into those chariots. For Gaza shall be forsaken, as we seeing that now, right? And Ashkelon, right, a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, right? Because who lives in Ashdod right now? A bastard dwells in Ashdod, right? Dealing with those fake Jews, right? The Jewish people, right? Just like somebody being childish, they're acting like a child. These ones want to act like they're the real Jews, man, when they're not. The Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true Israelites of the scriptures and the speckled bird, right? It says, they shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday. And that's going, dealing with World War III, right? When those ICBMs get shot off, man, the state of Israel will be destroyed, as well as all of America. All right. Ekron shall be rooted up. Oh, that ain't all my precepts, man. What the hell? All right. But again, that's the mindset. Ooh, hold on. I almost messed up. Let's jump down to verse 8, because that's the mindset you should be in, man. Being a meek mindset. Seek righteousness, man. So that way you can be redeemed and be hid from the Lord's anger in that day and be presented as virgins in that day. All right, verse 8. I have heard the reproach of, this is Zephaniah 2 and 8. I have heard the reproach of Moab and the revelings of the children of Ammon, whereby they have reproached my people and magnified themselves against their border. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomer. even the breeding of needles and salt pits, and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, right? And this is what's going to happen once we, come out of those chariots. And the remnant of my people shall possess them, man. But it was going into, Sodom and Gomorrah for Moab and Ammon, man. And that, when you think about World War II, what happened to China? What happened to Japan, man? Japan, they had people, they got hit with that fat boy, what is it called, Fat Boy and Little Man, right? Over there in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Man, that shit was no joke, man. You can kind of see that on, they kind of showed that on, what's that movie with Wolverine? Is that Wolverine Origins? I think that was the movie. But anyway, the same thing is gonna happen. They're gonna get hit with some ICBMs as well, man. But they're not gonna become the lake of fire like America. America's gonna be the lake of fire, man. Right? But all of these places gonna have a part in judgment, man. All these nations, man. Right? But there still will be some nations left over, right? Let's go to Second Esdras real quick. Second Esdras 2. I'm gonna jump down. I'll jump down to 33. I, Esdras, receive a charge of the Lord upon the Mount Oreb, that I should go unto Israel's, right? Israel being the point, all right? But when I came unto them, they set me at naught and despised the commandment of the Lord. And therefore I say unto you, O ye heathen, right? He called their ass heathen. Damn. But he was hot with them, boy. Because again, the Israelites are not heathens, right? But you could tell Edge was kind of pissed off with them at that time. All right, but the top heathen would be Esau and these other nations, man. All right, it says that hear and understand. Look for your shepherd, right? Again, he's talking to Israel. Look for your shepherd. Who is the shepherd? All right, Yahweh, that's his true name. He shall give you everlasting rest, for he is nigh at hand that shall come in the end of the world. All right, be ready. Be ready to the reward of the kingdom, for the everlasting light shall shine upon you forevermore. Man, this is talking about the 1/3 and the 144, right? And then the rest of Israel will be born back into the kingdom, right? To to be a part of that shining light as well. Verse 36, flee the shadow of this world, man, right? That goes into your mindset. Receive the joyfulness of your glory. I testify my Savior openly, man, right? Yahweh, that's his true name, man. Not Hell Zeus, man. Jesus, all right? It says, or receive the gift that is given you, and be glad, man, giving thanks unto him that have led you to the heavenly kingdom, man. See how beautiful that is, bro? It says, which are departed. Verse 38, arise up and stand. Behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord, man. All right? That's our job, man, to bring many back to the marriage supper, man. It's going to be a feast, man, because the Lord is going to do what again? He's going to pass over the earth, man. So all of those things are precursor to the day of the Lord's return, man. Dealing with Sodom and Gomorrah, even places like Nineveh, even places like during the flood, Egypt. That's why Babylon, where America is also spiritually known as Egypt as well, right? Man, these prophecies are beautiful, man. When you really can see the full picture. How the Lord kept warning us and showing us signs and showing us precursors of what he's gonna bring forth in that day. That's why he said, man, they're not even gonna, how the scripture go, roughly paraphrasing that, is that they're gonna be astounded by the strangeness of our salvation, man. It's gonna be strange to them, man. That's how magnificent it's gonna be. It says, arise and stand up, behold the number of those that be sealed, right? The 144 and the 1/3 in the feast of the Lord, which are departed, not all Israel, right? Which are departed from the shadow of the world, man. For those who put off their old body, man, right, and indulged in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right, walking on that straight and narrow. which are departed from the shadow of the world and have received glorious garments of the Lord, man. And that's, boy, that'll be, Lord willing, I'm part of that number, man. All right. It says, verse 40. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord, man. Us being protected, man. Us being called up into those chariots. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. And beseech the power of the Lord that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed, man. So the 144 elect and the 1/3, man, are the ones that been ordained to receive salvation since the beginning. All right. So again, if you're gonna make it out of this upcoming destruction, man, it was meant for you to make it out of it since the beginning, man. Y'all are gonna be the ones, or we are gonna be the ones that receive those beautiful garments from the Lord, man. Because we have put away the worldly that worldly mindset today and worship Him in sincerity and the truth. Doing the work, letting the Lord's pushing forth His prophecies, warning the people, being a good watchman for the Lord. All right, so again, let's go back to the article, man. Again, this article is just about some of the technology that China is pushing out, and basically they just kind of boasting, right now. Damn, that made me think of something else, man. Let's go second address 2. All right, second address 2 and 16. Woe be unto thee, Babylon, which is America, and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. So just like I was saying earlier in the video, right? Because basically what it's going to be is NATO, America, and the EU versus the BRICS nations. All right, Babylon, which is America, Asia, right? All of Asia, really, and Egypt and Syria, right? Most of them are part of the BRICS nation, right? That's why I was saying earlier that even though the Lord uses people like Russia or people like China, right, as it states in Ezekiel 38, the Lord is going to use Russia, but He's still against Russia, right? He's going to use China, but He's still against China, right? Because all of them, it's time for them to be in sorrow, man, and to be mourning, right? Again, these curses are being lifted off of the Lord's children, right? The Israelites, and being placed onto the heathen, the true heathen, right? Verse 2, gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand, right? This is why we do the video, man, to warn them, y'all can boast in y'all technology right now, but the Lord still is against y'all. Right? Even though He opened up His armory and gave y'all some knowledge on how to build His armory and His weapons, right? But it's for His use. It's not for y'all country. It's not to make y'all be successful as a nation, right? It's really set for your destruction, right? Verse 3: a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Question mark. Right? Nobody can stop the judgment of the Lord. Fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is He that may drive them away? Right? So nobody can stop the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right? Again, this is going in the first scripture. Right? Verse 1. Woe unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Right? And it didn't say His children. All right, go back to the article, man, and I'm gonna go ahead and close it. It says this alarming statement followed a defense review revealing that 30% of Taiwan's, I think I read this, 30% of Taiwan's military reserve equipment was either missing. Yep, I did read this. Missing or non-operational, underscoring vulnerabilities at a time when China regards Taiwan as a breakaway province and it intends to reclaim. James Char from Nanyang, if I said that right, Nanyang, Technical University, NTU, in Singapore, specializing in Chinese defense strategy, confirmed the versatility of the Df-100. See, the versatility, right? Stating it, quote, has a dual platform and can be deployed via land-based off-road launch vehicles or from the H-6N bomber if air-based, right? End quote, which could significantly extend its strike capabilities by an additional 6,000 km. Additionally, grainy images suggest that the Df-100 is designed with a sharp, conical warhead to enhance supersonic penetration and features larger tail fins that similar than similar missiles, right? Featured larger tail fins than similar missiles, allowing for exceptional agility at Mach speeds, man. Because China is very detailed on when they build stuff, man. They want it to be the fastest. They want it to be most accurate. They want to be, uh, you know, they want it to be unstoppable. It says Yang Z, an associate research fellow at NTU's right Rajar Rajartanam, if I know I chopped that up, School of International Studies, contends that the release of the video was a move to, quote, project strength in a time of increasing global disorder, to showcase military prowess to adversaries, man. Them just boasting, showing off their strength, man. Showing off the knowledge that the Lord blessed them with, right? As far as dealing with his armory and his weapons of indignation, right? But again, the Lord is still not with them just because he gave that knowledge to them. He only gave it to them so that he can, just like Pharaoh, right? Raise them up just so he can destroy them and move them out the way to show his strength, to show his power. All right. So, Lord, when this lesson was edifying, just a little bit of information on China and some of their new, technically it's not new, but some of their new ICBMs, man. Just giving out warning to our people, as well as informing them of the new capabilities, what China is basically showing these countries. All right. So, Lord, when this lesson was edifying, Shalom DTA.